Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Manisha Gupta. I am assistant professor in MBA department in Noida Institute of Engineering and Technology, and today's business research method lecture number 3 of chapter 1, we are going to discuss about the emerging trend in business research and the research and the scientific methods. So, in today's lecture, we are going to discuss the following topics: the emerging trend of the business research, the research and scientific method, importance of the scientific method, obstacle to conduct the scientific research in management. So, we will start our today's lecture with the emerging trend of the business research. So, as you see around yourself that everything is changing, and which is the most constant thing in a world is a change. So, as a research also, the research is also changing from the last few decades, and especially after the independence, or if we talk about our country after independence, and if we talk about the world, so after the Second World War, the research methods have changed substantially, and it is also in the business research also. If you see that there are the following points, these are the following points which we are going to discuss. So, I will start with the first point: complexity of the collaboration. If you see that previously it is very rare that the research is done by the 4 and 5 peoples together, and the research is done in not in many research lab. Most of the time the research is done by the, or the, I can say that the paper published by the 1 or 2 author, and the whole study was done in the one single lab or one single environment. But as the time changes, these thing is also changed. As the time we see in the last few decades, the research has become complex. Why it is become complex? Because there is increase in the interdisciplinary research. Now, if we take any example in today's environment, or I take an example of like research in the biotechnology, it is not only related to you studying the biology or zoology, in that you are studying the technology also. So, because of that, the people involved in the research are become more interdisciplinary. They are coming from the very different background. The people who are collaborating in a research are from the different streams, different backgrounds, different state, different countries. So, it increases the complexity in the research, because everyone understands the things in a different way. So, the next point is in this topic is regulation and accountability. As the research has increased and the number of the research publication and the patents are increased substantially in the last few years, so the accountability of the researcher and also increase, and at the same time people do not take any more advantage or undue advantage of the certain type of the research. So, the government is also making certain type of the regulation to control the environment in the research. Like some research fields are the prohibited. If you are doing the research in that particular area, you need certain government, you have to ask the government to allow you. Like if you take example of the, if you are doing this certain type of research in the nuclear energy, or you are doing research in the cloning, so for that you have to ask for the government for giving the permission to do certain type of the research. And it also regulated, because if you take the today's environment related to the technology, like everything goes to the digital. Now we are living in the global village, everyone is on the digital platform. So, in the IT industry, it is also important to regulate to control the privacy, because certain sometime if you see, there is a many example of the viruses or your data theft. So, certain type of the thing should be reduced by regulation and accountability. Next point is industry sponsored research and the other research aimed at the commercialization. The increasing the scientific enterprise has been recognized. not only the place of the expansion of the knowledge. At the today's time, the research is not only related to you are going to the gain the knowledge, it has commercialized. Nowadays industries are sponsoring the research institution, they are funding them related to their own commercial product, like they give fund to develop the certain type of the product. If I take the example of the current situation, like the COVID-19 situation, in that scenario, like the pharmaceutical companies are investing or they are sponsoring the other research to get vaccine for it, to get the medication for it, so that when some research institute develops such a type any type of the vaccine or medicine, so that they can commercialize and they get the profit from it. Next point is information technology in research. The information technology has touched everyone's life and everyone's life, and it also touched the every single business, every single research. If you want to get a certain type of the information, you do not nowadays you don't have to rush to the library to get the information. You want to get any certain type of the information, you are doing certain research and you want the material on it, you will go online, you will buy certain research and paper, you will buy membership to the certain type of the journals, any type of the journal in which you are interested, or the journal which is related to your study, to gain the information. So it has increased the enormous scope for the research and development in today's world. Next is globalization of research. The knowledge has passed because of the globalization. The knowledge related to the research and development has passed freely across the border between the nation, and the nation or the countries also understand the importance of the globalization of research. They cannot work in aloof in a certain environment and do not see the other what the other countries are doing, or they have to go they started collaborating, they started exchanging the information. There is a one study according to which the collaboration of the authors or the researcher across between the country has increased from 8% to the 19% in the last 20 years. 20 years back it is only 7 or 8%, and nowadays it increased to the 20% by it. And nowadays the countries also invest heavily on the research and development, so that they get a certain type of the competitive edge from the other countries. And if you see the today's environment, the country who has the greater technological advantage, they are on the top. Next point is relevance of result to the policy and the political debate. If you see, the result is not only as I said earlier, it is not only related to get the knowledge, to get information, it has a much broader scope. If you take our country's examples, after the independence, government has invested heavily in the research institution, that they have established DRDO, they have established ISRO, so that these institutions work on the research and development, and they take information from them to make a policy and certain of the policy for the development of the country. And take one more example of the census, which is done in the every 10 year. It is also the kind of the research in which you have selected the whole universe, you get the all information you bring all the information of the people who are living in our country, and it becomes the basis. The census has become the basis for making whatever the government scheme we see today, what are the government policy we have seen today. It was based on the census or last census of the country. Next and part is the research and the implication for the authorship. Nowadays the authorship has rewarded. the institute are rewarding their employee who has published more papers, who have done the more patent. So it has become the process of the reward. If they do more research, if they do more paper published, they get rewarded by the organization. So these are the trends of the business research. And now we move to our another topic, the research and the scientific method. For the clear perception of the term research, one should know the meaning of the scientific method, because the research and the scientific method are the closely related. As we discussed in the last class, that what is the research? Research is a basic, a systematic way of the inquiring to collecting the data, analyzing the data, and interpreting the data and getting the information by analyzing and interpreting your data. So what is the scientific method? The scientific method is the pursuit of the truth as determined by the logical consideration. It is a way we do the research in the logical way. Scientific method is a way of conducting a research, and this method include the logical consideration. Whatever we do in a scientific manner, we do in a logical manner. The scientific method is a standardized way of the making observation, gathering data, formulating theories, testing, prediction, and interpreting the research. It is a standardized form. The research what we have to do is a standardized form, means it is a standard way to make observation. Whatever we do, we start our research by by collecting a data. It may be chances you can collect the data by observation method, by survey method, by experimentation. So whatever we do, it must have some standard, some way, some predetermined standard of the feature before we perform any before we perform any steps. So it means that you have to standardize your observation or any other method through which you are collecting the data. As in this definition, it is written that the observation, you are either doing observation, or you are collecting the data by the survey, you are collecting data by focus group interviews, or by experimentation. Then after that, the gathering the data should also be the standardized. Then after gathering the data, you can formulate theories. By gathering the data, you can formulate a theory. Whatever the result are coming from your gathered data, you can form the certain type of the theories which will be completely logical, not on the emotional basis. Then testing, prediction, and the interpretation of the result. In the scientific method, the logical aid in the formulating, postulating explicitly, accurately, so that their possible alternative become clear. By using the scientific method, whatever option we are choosing, whatever alternative we have, it become clear in the mind that what should be the better and the possible alternative to overcome from that problem or situation. Now we understand more about the scientific method. The scientific research focus on the solving problem and pursue a step by step, logical, organized, and the rigorous method to identify the problem, gather data, analyze them, draw the valid conclusion from them. Means all it means that the scientific research focus on the identifying the problem, and it is a step by step process. It is a logical process. By step by step process, by logical process, you can organize a research, and it is an organized method. It is a rigorous method to identify the problem, to gather a data and analyze the data and draw the valid conclusion from research. The scientific research is not based on the hunch, experience, or institution, though there may play the part in the final decision, but is a progressive and regress. Means the scientific method the scientific research result does not base on your experience, your institution, your hunch. It is completely based on the result which is derived from the data. Next, next is importance of the scientific method. Why the scientific method is important in our research? Because basically if we talk about the business research, we are dealing with the customer satisfaction, we are dealing with the employee satisfaction, we study the trends of the market. So in that case, there is a very much chances of the biasness and the error in the result. So overcome those biases, we use the scientific method. The scientific method attempt to minimize the influence of the biasness or the prejudice of the experiment. Like whatever the background from we are, everyone is from the different background. So we derive the result, whatever we see, we interpret according to our perception, our thinking, from which background we belong. So it is based on that. So to overcome certain type of the biases and error and the prejudice, we use the scientific method. Even the best intentional scientist cannot escape the biasness. It is a result from the personal belief as well as the cultural belief, which mean any human filtered information based on his or her own experience. Unfortunately, these filtering process can cause a scientist to prefer one outcome over the other. If you take the decision based on your experience, there is chances that you can choose the wrong answer or the wrong option, which may not be good for your business or your company, for your employee, your customers. But in the scientific community, where the result has been reviewed and duplicated, the biases must be avoided at all cost. But in the scientific community, they eliminate the biasness by reviewing it, by duplicating it research or replicating that research to get the similar information. If you replicate any kind of the research, and even by the replication of the research, you will get the similar research. It shows that your research is authentic and your results are accurate. Now, the last point is the obstacle to conduct the scientific research in the management area. In the management and the behavior area, it is not always possible to conduct investigate that are the 100% scientific. Why? Whatever they conduct, they cannot become the 100% scientific, because in our study we are not dealing with the certain type of, like we do in a physical physics or chemistry, that we use one compound mixed with the other compound, so it always gives the same result. The scientific 100% scientific research we are not able to apply in the management, because it is based on the feelings, it is based on the emotion, it is based on the attitude, it is based on the perception. Everyone perceive one thing in a different way. If you see that the feelings, the emotion, the attitude, the perception, every single individual is different from the one from another. And if you are collecting the data from the different different geographical area or a different demographical area, you are collecting the data from the different states, different countries. So in that case, when you are getting the data related to the management area, it is very much a chances that your result will be varied. Why it will be varied? Because the human being did not think in a same way. One person, the way one person is thinking, it may not it is not that the other person will also think the same way. The lifestyle of Indians are the different from the lifestyle of the people who belong to the US or UK or China or Japan. So we are different from other. Even there is a study that even The twins did not have the same feeling or emotional attitude about the one single object. They have different feeling, they have a different attitude, they have different emotion. So in because of that, we cannot apply the 100% scientific method in the management. The primary because of the difficulty likely to be the encounter in the measurement and the collection of the data, the subjective areas like the feeling, emotion, attitude and perception. The difficulties might be the encounter in obtaining the representative sample, restricting the generability of the finding, and there is also difficulty because we cannot we cannot do the research on the whole universe. Whole means whatever the target population or the target audience you have, you cannot do the research on the every single one. We do the especially the management research or social science research by using the representatives or a sample. We took a particular we took the only the number of the people from the whole population for our research, and it may also and it has also affect your result. There may be chances the two people who are looking alike, they cannot give you the similar result. Like if we are doing the research related to the customer, you want to find the spending pattern of the customer, you may took the people who have the similar income, but the spending patterns may be different. The people who are married, who have a family, their spending pattern will be different from the people who are bachelor. So it depends upon the type of the sample we are using, and every time this sample is different from one another, which is going to because of that the result is also be changed. So this is our scientific research, and in next lecture we are going to study the characteristics of the scientific research. So thank you for today. We will see you in the next lecture.